Hello, I'm Scott DuPont with another episode of Finance Your Movie, sharing tips and strategies to help you fund your independent feature, documentary, short film, or web series. Our mission is to empower you to get your money to tell your story. Okay, folks, I am here, honored to be here with Peter Eaton. He is a prolific director. He's worn a lot of hats, but primarily a director with almost a dozen films over, I don't know how many decades. But Peter, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you've done so many things over the years. What really grabbed my attention, was really interesting, is your very first feature film, Gravity. Right out of the gate, you won Best Director at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. I mean, how does that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, it's a long story. There's a lot to tell about that how that evolved. Now, in terms of comparing that to, say, faith-based films that I've done, it's quite a bit different. It's a hardcore mafia film, I would say R-rated, and it doesn't pretend to be, a family film by any stretch of the imagination. But nonetheless, we did put some biblical truth into the storyline, and we're going to be re-releasing it soon.
Oh,
On
congratulations.
Amazon. Yeah, we're planning to re-release it soon. And it was a grueling shoot. We shot it in the dead of winter in Virginia, midnight to 8 o'clock shooting, production, sometimes outdoors in the snow.
Oh, wow.
We were just encountering one obstacle after another, but we got it done and against all odds, actually. And it's a whole other story about how it came to be, and kind of a lot of funny anecdotes and sometimes painful anecdotes to get that done. But we did that, and then after all that, I remember going to the festival, and when they were going down the award list, it was coming to the end, and we had heard rumor that we were going to like sweep the awards at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. We came to the end and we're like, well, this is no sweep by any stretch. We haven't gotten anything yet. So then it came time for Best Director, and I'm thinking, okay, it's not going to be us. And then I heard my name, and it was just like getting hit with a lightning bolt, to be truthful with you. And
Well, somebody spotted some talent early on there, so
I guess so.
you have a gift.
I guess I do. I thank God for that. But it was, we had a good story too. We had a great premise, and
all great movies start with a great story. That is the most important thing.
It really is, and it honestly, it has to be. You have to hear it in the pitch. It's the very premise has to be strong, and that's what I try to look for, something that has a very compelling, interesting, unusual premise. It's hard to do unusual stories because it seems like all the stories have been done, but I think it's how you approach it and the unique twist you bring to it. But me my award was the director of A Christmas Story.
So let me ask you this, Peter, for specifically for our audience. I know you're the director, but if you were involved in fundraising at all, or if you can kind of share with us the process that people helped you raise the money. You did this in Virginia.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's easier? And first of all, I'm assuming this was under a $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find it was easier to raise money from people in Virginia or doing films in Hollywood? And tell us about the process, how you raised some of that money or how it came together.
Well, the four films I've done, the way they've been financed were all completely different. But in that case, it was very unorthodox. I did not form the corporation. It was formed by the producer. I was kind of a director for hire in that situation. He asked me to direct, and but I was very involved in the meetings we would have with people, and there wasn't much of a structure, to be quite honest, with the financing. We had meetings in restaurants, meetings, and in fact, quite often it was you know, over hors d'oeuvres or drinks, or one time we had a CEO who put in a significant amount of the money. We actually met him at his office, and he stroked us a check right on the spot.
Wow.
Well, he also saw that the producer put his own money into it too, and because he did that, that impressed him. Because
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's something that a lot of filmmakers, that, you know, they listen to this number one rule they teach in film school is don't put your own money into your own projects.
yes and no, but yeah, when he was impressed because he said he used the term, he had skin in the game.
Yes.
Because he put his own money on the line, and he's not the
Yes.
first. And it's easy to be, you know, be fast and loose with other people's money. It's harder when it's your own money on the line, and it shows a level of true commitment. And I think that's what made him actually. And I saw him stroke the check right in front of us, and that,
Wow.
you know, usually it takes several meetings and you know, to get the actual money in the
Yeah,
bank.
yeah, some follow-up. So congratulations. So those were mostly, just to clarify, those were mostly contacts that the producer had, and then he would pull you in as the director for certain meetings. So
well,
they
that
could
one
meet.
was a contact I had. He was somebody
okay.
I knew, and I had brought 2 other projects to him, and he passed.
Okay, so persistence, and
Oh,
I'll tell filmmakers this: they're not always going to invest on your very first film.
no, and not only that, you know, you got to look at, because I've been involved in sales and marketing to a degree, and I mean, if you're in this business, you really, you know, even as a director, unless you're working for a studio and they, you know, they just funnel work to you, you're pretty much, it's like being on the Wild West. You know, you're on your own, and there are rules sort of, but it's kind of, you know, it's also no rules. You know, you got to find your way, and you got to be a good closer. You've got to be persistent and polite, you know, polite, persistent, and you've got to be able to close. In other words, you have to be able to say to the prospective investor, you know, you've done your song and dance, your dog and pony show. You tell them about the pluses. You have to disclose the risks. You must do that, or else you can be guilty of fraud and you can be put in prison. So it's nothing to take lightly. But you must disclose, you know, what it could potentially do, realizing that it may not make any money and it may lose all of its money. But you also want to sell the sizzle, you know. And you're going to have to realize that there's going to be a lot more no's than yeses.
Yes,
And you're going to have to filter. You're going to have to filter through a lot more no's than you are. You know, one guy said, "Oh, 100 no's for every yes," and then he said a few years later, he says, "No, about 250 no's for every yes." And I think that's pretty close to true. So you're going to have to talk to a lot of people if you're going to do private equity, independent film financing.
Yeah, and not take it personally when people just say no.
No, you can't. You have to look at every no as one step closer to a yes.
Yeah.
So you got to have, you know, as a director, you have to have stamina. You can't direct. Never mind. As a director, you need stamina. You've got to be able to stay with the project and see it through all the way to the very end. And when it comes to raising the money, it's the same thing. You can't be a quitter, or else you won't make it. Or at least have a producer who's very connected to you that has incredible stamina for fundraising, because it's
a team.
You know,
it's a team effort, but yeah, it takes
really
a lot
is.
of stamina. I want to follow up on one specific thing you asked. You talked a little bit about, you have, after the dog and pony show, after you've gotten them the business plan or talked to them, you've got to actually ask or follow up for the money. Have you
Yes.
ever, in your lengthy career, have you ever had someone, without you making a follow-up phone call or just touching base with a potential investor, you ever had someone just send you a $25,000 or $50,000 check? Just my point is that the follow-up, is the key, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, you know, you think about it, if they had a choice between investing in cryptocurrency or whatever the latest hot stock is, or buying real estate. You know, they're looking for a return, right? Filmmaking is not on their highest, that's not on their radar really. And for good reason.
It's high risk.
Yeah. So you've got to sell them. Number one, they need to make their money back. They need to not only make their money back, but make a somewhat of a profit, hopefully. And also I think you also need to have the right investor too, because they need to be the kind of people that, it's not your typical investor where, you know, they only do safe bets. They have to have a certain amount of liquidity that they can afford to kind of blow it, almost like in Vegas. You know,
yeah, just in case the worst happens.
Yeah, they have to have a mentality. Well, I've got X amount that I put into really safe bets, and then I get this amount allocated for, you know, who knows, kind of like throwing a dart at the wall, you know, hoping it embeds into the bullseye without knowing for sure. And you really can't. Now the thing is, there are things you can do to offset the risk from a business standpoint that will increase their levels of comfort levels. One being shooting in a state, tax incentives. You know, you're going to make, like Louisiana, I think it's 35% roughly in that neighborhood. Georgia has really good tax incentives, and there's a few other states. That helps because they know, okay, well, I know I'm going to get this much back. It's not a total, you know. Then there's other ways you can, you know, you can work out maybe some deferred situations with certain aspects of the production, which, you know, that's all considered soft money. So that helps. But then there are ways that you can secure distribution before you even roll the cameras. And to me, that's the best way, and you should seek that. And if you can't get interest from the distributor right from the get-go, right from the premise, then why do you think they're going to buy it after?
That's a perfect segue. I want to jump forward a few years to your film Necessary Evil. Did you have any kind of LOI from Lionsgate, or was that something you produced? And
again, this is something that I wish I could say I practice what I preach. We had no, we did not.
That was a straight private equity film that you did. You got Danny Trejo, and then you eventually sold it or got
Lance Henriksen, who's now Lance Henriksen is blown up because he just did that film with Viggo Mortensen, Falling, which is getting huge, and he's the lead.
Yeah.
Lance had more FaceTime than Danny, but Danny brought a lot. I mean, he's got a popular following. We had
did you have those guys attached before you got the money, or did you get the money and then get them?
They kind of came at around the same time. Yeah.
Because that can help get your closing funds.
Yeah, well, we had
your final money.
Danny was in the first. We got him, and it had to do somebody in the production knew his manager or knew him directly. Then we got it to Lance. It was like maybe a month or two before we started shooting. We had him on board, and that helped us get, you know, we had a producer's rep who shopped it around, and she did it for a fee. She took her fee from the money that Lionsgate paid. That's how she got paid. Now, that was for our domestic. Now, for our foreign, we had a screening, and we invited certain distributors to come to the screening, and a private screening, of course, that was just for distributors. We had a couple of agents there, I think, too, but we got our foreign distributor, who was separate, from that. So that's how we got the two distributors. Yeah. So our producer's rep got her commission. She took that out of the money that came when we got the deal.
Okay. So after that, and by the way, congratulations on that film. I mean, that's an incredible film to do as an indie. You did a bunch of short films over the years, and then you got back behind the camera to direct a feature. that you're releasing right now called Past Shadows with Corbin Burnson.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that. And I hear
thank you.
it's in release right now, so people
Not yet.
can go
Not
see
yet.
it. But they
It's
will
not.
in a few days.
Yeah, it's actually going to be pushed a little bit. I'm looking probably, I would say May, in May. But
Okay, so by the time they're watching this, they can see it.
Okay,
We'll make sure.
Yeah. But it's coming out, yeah, and with our distributor. It's also playing at the International Christian Film Festival in Orlando between March 19th and the 22nd. I'm sorry, May.
May. Yeah, I might be down there as well.
Yeah, and it's also up for Best Inspirational Film. So,
well, congratulations to you. And I know you also brought in a friend of mine I know, Susanna Velasquez, who I've been following for years on General Hospital and The Game. Hey, Susanna. Hi. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So it was smart to hire your wife as an actress. Good move. And also a line producer, I understand.
Yes.
It's interesting because I wasn't really expecting to do that. I just kind of fell into it. I initially, yes, it was going to be, I'm playing Dr. Hernandez too, so I was really happy to be able to help with that. But then I realized that, like I was asking who's the line producer, and there wasn't anybody. I thought, okay, I guess I'll do it, because I just wanted, to be able to do whatever needed to be done to get this film done. So
yeah, there's a lot of trust when you take investors' money. You've got to have a line producer you can totally trust that's in-house. Obviously, there's a great communication between you two. So I think that was a good move.
Right.
So I want to talk a little bit about.
She's very organized. She's highly organized. Yeah.
Key quality for a line producer. Want to talk a little bit about this. This was a micro budget. I'm assuming under $200,000 budget.
Yes.
Okay.
And how did this money come about? Were you raising money in Virginia or in Hollywood?
It was the two producers put up the money themselves. This was a work for hire. I had been told about this. I was contemplating, relocating back to Virginia because of my kids, and I have grandkids too now. And so we were, it's kind of at this crossroads in my career, and hadn't done a feature in a little bit. And but then one day, and it was funny because, I was kind of really praying and thinking about my future, and then the phone rang. And I was in the Valley in California, and it was about 8 a.m, and it's Bob, the producer, and he asked me if I was interested and I said, well, let me see the script and yada yada. And so then as time went on, we discussed it further, and was like, I think we should, we're thinking about moving back to Virginia, so maybe it's something we could do. And so we kind of, like, over time, we decided, I think let's do this. Now, he had talked to another director as well, and but they felt like they wanted to go with me. So really, the budget was tight. How do we squeeze the lemon? How do we squeeze the juice out of this lemon and fill up, 2 big jugs? Because that's essentially what you're doing with one lemon. And but Susanna was very instrumental, and we worked out a lot of deals. We had a guy who was our camera operator, our DP, and he had almost all the gear,
saving you on rentals.
Oh, and he threw it all in one package. And then we hired, we had our other personnel as well.
Well, it's good to know that the people that worked on the cruise, we already knew. Peter already had connections with, and they loved working with him previously. So it was great to work with people who like Peter, who want to work and really enjoy.
We shot in 2 weeks. Well,
it's crazy.
We did it. We did one shoot. It was 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks and a day. Then we did another shoot 2 years later. Was it 2 years later? No, 1 year later.
1 year. Yeah. 1 year.
We spent the whole 2018, 2019 editing. And then my friend and I sat down and we went through, we're like, okay, we have some story problems. We have some scenes in here that need to be cut, because basically it's the rule of thumb is when you write the film 3 times, once in the script, once in the set, and third time in the edit. We got to the edit and we realized it needed a rewrite and it needed some additional cinematography and some scenes. So we did that, and then we finished by we had it ready to go by October of this past year. So it was a finished film essentially. I mean, there's still a few audio. We had some audio fixes we have to make, and other than that, it's ready for release.
Congratulations. Well, I heard you had a fantastic premiere. People were raving about the film who saw it.
Yes.
And definitely click. Well, you have a Facebook page, right, for the movie?
Yes. It's Past Shadows Film.
Yeah, Past Shadows Film on Facebook.
On Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely check out Past Shadows Film on their Facebook page, and you can, when it's available, you can click to stream it. I guess you're going to have Blu-rays, DVDs available too, maybe.
Yeah, they're the distributor is handling. It's supposed to be streamed on multiple platforms, and also they're doing the DVD Blu-ray release. Now we actually hold any theatrical. They let us keep, if we want to four-wall the film or show it in multiple theaters, we have the rights to do that.
Great.
Which is unusual.
Yeah.
And
then these days you can you can definitely do a few cities and test it. And
yeah,
I think people are starving for more family-friendly, faith-based films because they don't make a lot of them.
Yeah, and this one's different because I've seen a lot of faith-based, and I have a few that I really love, and some that all right, But what drew me to this is it had some sci-fi elements. That's what made it a little different. It had not really time travel, but a time portal in which you could see into the past.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of magical, and some people, faith-oriented people, find a little bit strange, but I don't, because it's storytelling. Storytelling, it's like C.S. Lewis. I mean, he The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Classic.
You use sci-fi elements, or heck, I'm not even afraid to shy away from horror elements. If it, I think some stories, it just depends on the story. What does it call for?
Yeah. So you have another film. Go ahead, Susanna.
Oh, I was just going to say too, and as far as with the premiere, we did have a good response with people's reactions to the film, and which was really great after all the hard work. And then it's finally here, to premiere it. And it was a really good turnout. The community, not just inviting, people who know us, some friends, but just people in the community that heard about it through other news outlets to be able to come and support the film. And especially it was at the historic Commodore Theater, which is one of a kind in the country.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, you were asking about future projects?
Yeah. Do you have something in pre-production now, or anything you're looking forward to?
I have stuff in development, not pre-production yet, but we're getting close. I have the true life story of Chuck Girard, the lead singer of Love Song. And it's if people aren't aware, you should look him up. He's phenomenal artist. He's one of the pioneers of Christian contemporary music. And he has a long, prior to his conversion to faith in Christ, he had a long career working, around the likes of the Beach Boys, around Brian Wilson. He worked, in the early mid '60s. He had his own doo-wop band that had about 3 top 40 hits.
So pretty big following.
Yes, and his story is absolutely amazing. His search for truth, his finding God, or God finding him, or whatever, during the early days of the Jesus movement in the early '70s in Southern California. And he was a hippie. He was living on an island, in Kauai. They thought they were the reincarnation of the 12 disciples. They were dropping acid. I mean, he tells the story all the time. And he kind of reached the end of his road, and the whole band, they were already a band. And they all became believers at the same time, right around within a week of each other. And they ended up at Calvary Chapel Church, and Chuck Smith was pastor, and the rest is history. But they created a couple of albums together that were just phenomenal by any standards. I mean, they were people called them, they had the sound that was sort of a fusion of Beach Boys and the Eagles, Beatles, and
Sounds interesting. And what
it's
sounds
focused on his story.
what sounds kind of interesting too to me, because I'm always thinking about marketing and audience, is you already have a pretty big following
Oh
who
yeah.
might be interested in that. So for our Millionaire Flicks listeners or people that are watching this on Millionaire Flicks right now, how would people get in touch with you, Peter, if they wanted more information on this movie?
Well, they could, I guess, probably my direct email, which is Eaton, EATON _ PJ, P is in Peter, J is in James, at yahoo.com. That's Eaton _ PJ at yahoo.com. That's
Okay,
the primary
perfect.
email.
Thanks for sharing that.
LinkedIn too.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well, Peter J. Eaton.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then of course we can follow both you guys at Past Shadows Films on Facebook.
Yeah.
Past Shadows
Film.
Film
Yeah.
singular.
Past Shadows Film
Yeah.
on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping the Chuck Gerard. I have another one. Somebody's is hiring me to do a film. I can't talk about it at the moment. And then I have a heist buddy comedy that has faith elements in it. I think it'll be very entertaining and very funny, among others. So there's multiple projects in the pipeline.
Awesome. Well, keep up the great work. Congratulations on the screening of Past Shadows. I'm going to look forward to probably getting it tonight or tomorrow, whenever it's out.
Okay.
I look forward to watching it. Great to see you, Peter.
Yeah.
Susanna, great to see you as well.
Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. It was terrific.
Tune in next week, or for more info, visit financeyourmovie.com. Thank you for listening, and remember, if you have a story to tell the world, never give up on your dream. Copyright Nemours Marketing.